The Xbox platform is in probably the worst situation they've been in since 2013 when they were ready to get rid of Don Mattrick. With Phil Spencer at the helm and things looking to be very positive, Xbox has actually really destroyed any momentum and goodwill, and fans are upset and wondering if Xbox can actually deliver. So let's get into where Xbox is going, because Xbox, we need to talk. Xbox is a whole new platform, a whole new generation, and studios filled with games about to come out, and many upsetting and expectations that have been left behind, and fans are worried about where Xbox is going to go next. In fact, right now, you have every right to be worried if Xbox can deliver on their promises. Looking at their first-party games this generation, they've had an impressive output of quality, high-rated games, but looking at the scope of games, they aren't what we'd have expected and what we've asked for from Xbox for decades. Games like Gears Tactics, Flight Sim, Psychonauts 2, although a great platformer, very high-rated games I loved, not the games Xbox has been looking for, and what the fans have been asking for, those big, cinematic, open-world action-adventure games. There are the small passion project games that have come out, one like Pentiment, which also scored very high and has kept Xbox's first-party games at a high-level Metacritic of around 84, but with the release of Redfall, a game from a AAA studio, Arcane, who has a great pedigree of making amazing high-rated games, just put out their worst game and possibly the worst rated game ever for Xbox this entire generation. Xbox Game Studios is a team made up of 15 studios that run all over the world, mostly in North America, some in UK and Europe. And these teams are making big games, but the question is, where are they? How are they doing? Why are they being so quiet? And why does Xbox seem to be so afraid to talk about games that aren't ready to release in the coming months? But first of all, I want to talk about the hardware. This has been a major contention point, especially for me on the channel, where I've talked about the hardware. I've had Jason Ronald on my channel twice talking about how the hardware is moving forward and pushing us into the next generation. The fact remains right now, our disappointment is that the Xbox Series X is routinely outperformed either by performance in frame rate or visual features like ray tracing to the less powerful, as it's supposed to be, the PS5. This is something that Xbox seems to give little care and attention to, with a dedicated team that is supposed to get the best out of the Xbox console. One of the many issues that plague the Xbox Series S and X, one being the Series S being low in RAM and harder to develop for, and Xbox Series consoles being paired with PC, which is also a major problem as developers have to code for that build and make it work on the Xbox console, leaving the Xbox Series S and X the least amount of time to develop and the least optimization. Fans on the console, some 20 million users that are playing on Series S or X, are getting the short end of the stick. I play mostly on the Series X, and I've been routinely frustrated that games come out broken and buggy from other studios, and even with first-party studios, I don't like seeing that even first-party games do not tout high performance and ray tracing, while the other bit of competition on PlayStation or other studios are able to get that done on the consoles. So Xbox's attention to the hardware needs to be more focused and a big priority for the core audience. So the expectation for Xbox to show these games, show the power of the Xbox Series X especially, and show what can be done on the small, amazing Series S is completely absent from Xbox's marketing and their messaging. Let's look at E3 showcases where they show games running on a PC. They've rarely, if ever, shown games running on Xbox Series X, like Forza Motorsport was shown at Xbox Series X settings, plainly running on a PC. At this point, Xbox cannot afford to show their games on a PC where so many people can be, and their experience can vary drastically, whether they have a decent PC or a super powerful PC. The expectation should be, this is what it looks like on Xbox Series X, because they need to show every single game forward, every time, on every little trailer that's on Twitter or on their YouTube channel or on the big stages at Gamescom, at Xbox's showcase, or at the Jeff Keighley Video Game Awards. Every single trailer from Xbox, from now on, you have to show it. Running on Xbox Series X, there are no exceptions. You owe your fans who came to this platform first on console. You owe it to them to show that game running the way it is looking on Xbox Series X. Now let's talk about those games coming, because everyone's excited more about the games they're playing now. They're more excited about the games to come, the games we don't have our hands on. Let's start with Starfield, which is coming out this September from Bethesda. Now, make no mistake, whether Starfield is great, whether it's amazing, or if it doesn't meet expectations, the masses will completely be hanging on the notion that Starfield failed because of Xbox. And I don't blame people for having that thought, because at this point, Xbox has not shown a strong confidence that they can manage their studios, whether they're in-house or newly acquired. Now, Starfield might run at 30 frames per second. It might have a performance mode. We don't know yet, because Xbox is afraid to stand up and tell us what the expectations are on Starfield. Managing expectations has been such a hard problem for Xbox, and I think one of the reasons is because they are afraid to be aggressive. The aggressive Xbox back in 2019 that showed the Series X at the Game Awards and showed Hellblade and showed how it'll run on the new hardware, that's the Xbox we want back. They have fallen behind during this ABK nonsense, and they've fallen behind as they've had so many road bumps with their studios and their games and performance issues where they've become timid. It's time for Xbox to stop being timid. They have to stand up and act like a multi-billion-dollar company that is running a gaming platform. Matt Booty is in charge of the 15 studios, In Exile, Obsidian, Ninja Theory, Turn 10, 343, all those studios. Xbox has Matt Booty in charge of managing those studios. And I talked to Matt Booty, and he said his job is to put out fires, talk to the teams constantly, find out what they need, find out what's keeping them from progressing, find out what kind of resources, people, money, tech that they need to get their games the way they envision them. And he's doing that constantly. It's too much for one person. Those studios need to be managed by a couple people working under Matt Booty. He needs to have some hard-hitting, hard-nosed, and somebody who's not afraid to, smack the table and say, hey, where are we at? What can we do? There's no excuse to be behind on milestones. Very high-powered people working under him that can do that work directly through him and get those studios exactly what they need. These delays cannot be excused any longer. Let's talk about Bethesda, because they've had quite a roller coaster over the past few years of really great games and not so great games. And starting with Fallout 76, it didn't hit the way fans wanted, and it's improved over time, but that's not what the core fan base really wanted. But then they put out games like Deathloop, which released exclusive to the PlayStation, 88 Metacritic, high scores, Game of the Year nominations. People love the game. And then it comes to Xbox with just drops in a Game Pass announcement and runs better on the PlayStation. That's unacceptable. And I think for a year, Xbox looked at Redfall. They told them to take extra time, 6 months to 9 months, to get the game into a right and ready state to release the game. And here it is. It's poorly optimized across all hardware. It truly looks and feels like a game that came out next to Far Cry 3 in 2012 and is not as good. This is the first AAA new IP that launches on the Xbox, and this is what Xbox fans get since Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite. Now, I know in January there was a massive high as Hi-Fi Rush came out, and it's an incredibly amazing game. I love it to death. It's in the 90s for ratings. It deserves all the accolades. Tango Gameworks did such an amazing job with that game. It's fantastic. But then you get a couple months later and Redfall kind of drives away that momentum. But I will tell you this, Xbox not getting nosy and pressured into their studios on where they're at and doing quality control and quality assurance on games that they allow to be independently made through Bethesda and ZeniMax is unacceptable. The aggressive Xbox should be in there, and Xbox has every right, and they have the power to say, look, Arcane, this isn't going to cut it. Either we're going to hold this game or we're going to give you another year. We have the money. Xbox has the funding. Give them a couple $1 million more and another year to have those employees working and make the game release as it's supposed to. They need to start communicating the expectations of what Starfield will be when it launches. Will it be 30 frames? You need to let us know right away, or assure us right away that there will be a performance mode for the consoles when Starfield releases. Let's talk about what we don't want to talk about, and that's ABK. The Activision Blizzard and King merger has completely tied Xbox's hands for over almost 2 years. And at this point, they have set marketing way down. They've been quiet. They've tried to look weak to the regulators. And guess who has suffered more than Xbox's pocketbook? The fans, us. We, the fans, have suffered more than anything as Xbox lays low. The time for Kumbaya is over, Xbox. Here's my take. And people, you're not going to agree with this, but I think it's time to cut your losses. Forget the political fight. Pay the $3 billion fee. Let go of Activision Blizzard. I know they need mobile and PC in their space. They're going to have to find it a different way. It's time for Xbox to be aggressive and money hat big AAA multi-plat games to be exclusive to Xbox either 1 year or exclusive forever. Go and grab a big game. I don't care if it's Warhammer Space Marine 2, a game that is probably already set up with its publishing rights and its multi-platform deals. Go pay money for something big, like Judas from Ken Levine, the new BioShock spiritual successor. Go grab that game. Go pay big money and say, lock this down. We need big games that will drive people to the console, drive people to the PC to buy games, and drive people to subscribe to Game Pass. Xbox is my favorite platform. I want to continue to enjoy the games there, and I think regardless of ABK or regardless of Redfall failing, they're still going to have massive pressure and momentum forward to keep making the games that they have in the works and continue building because they're not stopping. They need to get rid of Xbox Live Gold. They need to start pushing harder on their marketing, set expectations. Xbox, it's time to start talking about your games every chance you get. Quit hiding behind them while they're in development. It's okay. Games are always in development. Talk about them. Get some marketing materials from those teams. Open those mouths. Get those people talking about Avowed. Get them talking about Perfect Dark. Get them talking about Everwild, so we can rally around and get excited about the platform again. This last 2 years, it's been really rough. 2022, no games. Most of this year dealing with the ABK thing. Show the console. Utilize the console. Stop allowing the console to be a second-class citizen for the fans. This is super important because we're coming up on the Xbox Showcase in June. They're going to have a ton of games to show, and everyone's like, they need to knock it out of the park. No. The time of they need to do is over. Let's get excited about all the games that are coming out. Let's see Xbox be aggressive and strong and push forward and compete and stomp down the competition. You've got all the talent. Let's see it in action. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I'm sweating. I'm so overworked for making this video. I've had a lot to think about. And if you watch my podcast and you watch the video, I said this in a couple of videos ago, I always give that criticism and I highlight what Xbox isn't doing right. But I've never sat down and just did a video all about what they need to fix. And sometimes you need to get that all in one spot. But I'm super excited about where they're going. I'm super excited. I'm probably going to go to the showcase event here in June. I want to see those games firsthand. I want hands-on when we get there. I want to see some of these. I want to be able to play some of the games. I've said it all, and I've said too much. If you end up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content that I try to do here every week. And you want to further support the channel for Colteastwood, you can hit the join button below, and that'll enter you into early access for videos. Also, the Patreon does that, gets you early access to videos and monthly merch giveaways that I do for merch that I design of your choice. So yeah, you get to pick those. Check out the Ecstasy podcast. We just had King David. Mag and I talked about Redfall. It was like a whole 45-minute segment where I basically review impression Redfall. Let me know in the comment section. I want to outline, we talked about Xbox exclusives they have now, what they have coming, how they need to make the hardware more advantageous and show the hardware to the fans. We talked about Xbox Game Studios, where they sit with their games, and Bethesda and ABK being such a big roadblock for them and just ruining all momentum. Let me know in the comment section which one means the most to you, and I'll see you later. And remember, as always, be nice.